What's up, good people? It's late, and like the song I'm playing in the background, I'd rather be sleeping. But I just had to make this video, man. Just had to talk about this for a second. I just saw one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. That's a movie called Everywhere, Everything, All at Once. Um, Now, I went to go see this with my family, with my brother actually. He loved it, I hated it. I was one of the few people that hated it, I guess. The theater did clap and they loved it and all that kind of shit. Um, I thought it was trash. Like, it's funny. People hate on The Matrix Resurrections, which I did tell you all I saw in advance. And I didn't like that movie. It's not a good movie. But this is worse. This is a lot worse, actually. And it's interesting, everybody is quick to hate on something like The Matrix, right? But it's weird because people always love to copy The Matrix and they just make lame versions of this, brilliant movie. So that's weird. But I got notes, man, because oh my god, I hated this movie. Um, I went in, I felt like a prisoner, big time, big time. I mean, I started watching it within like the first 15 or so minutes. I was just like, oh my god, this is boring. Like this sort of setup with the drama and just conversations that go nowhere. They're in a laundromat and it's frantic and it's like goes from this to this, but it's all just like vague bullshit of them hanging out and making silly jokes and stuff. And I was just like, this is like Sonic the Hedgehog, man. I just saw this Sonic 2 shit. And again, people might not make the comparison, they might not see it, but this has always been a problem with me when it comes to art house movies. And I would argue that art house movies and mainstream formulaic movies fall into the same fake rut in the sense that they're both formulaic in their own weird way. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of sense their style, their sensibilities, what they're doing, and it's all kind of predictable. It's just that the two audiences sort of pretend like, oh, I'm not into that, or especially art house folk. They're like, oh, I don't listen to, you know, or sorry, I don't watch something so basic as a Marvel movie, but deep down they like this basic shit. And a lot of these art house movies are real basic, man. The storyline is damn near non-existent. It's really just a mood or a vibe of whatever sort of issue is hot at the particular moment. And it's all kind of artificial. And at the end of the day, that's really a problem for me with movies. I don't like artificial feeling movies. Movies to me, when they're great, they play like a dream it just happens. It doesn't, you don't even notice it. It just is like flawless in that regard, right? And it feels real, right? So I had a lot of problems with this movie, man. I really did. I thought there were too many jokes, like I said, but the jokes to me weren't really based on anything. They were just sort of this unhinged A24 style weirdo humor, which, again, like I said, like Sonic, if you watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is just a jokes a mile a minute, but it's like sort of dumber jokes, quote unquote. And I'm not into that, And again, like I said, it's similar. It's the same kind of thing. It's like formula. You have a movie that's just mass market. There's a million jokes a minute. You've got an indie film that's a million jokes a minute, but they're weirder and darker, I guess, to a certain degree. Still lame, still whack. Um, Let me look at these notes because I got a whole bunch of them, man. It felt like a cosplay to me of a bunch of movies that are some of them great and some of them obviously not so great. So it's a cosplay to me of The Matrix, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Ratatouille. Fantastic films. All these films I've mentioned are amazing. And then, a mix of other things that I've seen before that are maybe not as great. The One, Sense8, like some Spielbergish stuff in there. What else was kind of in here? In the Mood for Love, there are some shots and sort of even like there's some shots the costume of the guy. If you've seen In the Mood for Love, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've seen this movie, it just reminds me of that. So I've seen the movies that this movie is trying to sort of pastiche and make a mix of. But again, this is the problem I have when I've said this with comic book movies, is that comic book movies to me fail because they're not really great movies on their own right. They're just cosplay. It's like convention shit. It's just a cosplay of whatever movie they feel like cosplaying at the moment. Like the new Batman movie, the newish Batman movie, is a cosplay of Seven, right? A much better film, a much more original film, right? So I'll just go watch Seven. I don't need to watch a new Batman movie. Like, yes, it's cool that you're, to your audience, it's cool that it's sort of Seven-ish. But to me, I'm like, I've seen this before. This is boring. This was done 20, 30 years ago, right? And it was done better and it made more sense. And there was a lot more an intellect and a philosophical angle to Seven that just doesn't really exist in Batman. You know what I'm saying? It's just Batman cosplaying and wearing the Seven costume. Next month he's going to be wearing the Hangover costume. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe one day he'll wear the Matrix costume. And then he'll go and wear the Adam West costume 2 years from now. And then we'll be full circle with this shit. That's my problem with a lot of these comic book movies, is that they're not really their own movie. Right? They're not doing something that's really stand out on their own terms. And much like this movie with everything and everywhere all at once, it's the same shit. It's like just a cosplay of things that I've seen before, right? But it doesn't have its own identity other than just being weird. But that's not an identity. You can't be weird. That's not an identity. Like, your identity is like, what are you trying to tell the world? What is your message? If your message is as basic and generic as we love chocolate, like I've said before, then that doesn't make you special. You're just another filmmaker making generic shit. You know what I'm saying? And I found this movie to be pretty generic in the story and also the message side of things. Like, yeah, it's, art house, and at the end there's platitudes of families, great, and you can't change things in life, but it's all very generic and very vague. It's not really explored because there's a lot of stuff that's happening that has no real consequence. That's my issue with the movie. And if you're going to make a movie that's 2.5 hours long, where it's kind of farcical and things are just kind of happening, and it's sort of this existential, nothing really matters, which is a point that they make in the movie often, which is kind of what they're trying to say in the movie, then why make a 2.5 hour movie, right? I mean, at the end of the day, movies are a certain length because you're watching actions that have consequence. Character A or character B does this, that has a consequence to character B. Character B responds in this way, and that makes character A respond, and you're watching a series of consequences, of motivations. And that's, to me, what makes a great movie. When those motivations are clear and they're engaging and interesting, that's when you're watching a movie that's well told. If I'm watching a movie where your hands turn into hot dogs, and then one moment you're wearing googly eyes, and then you're crying in the back seat of a Jeep, and then in the next moment you're like, kicking a pig across the stadium, all these actions have no consequence. They're random, and they're farcical, they're funny, but they don't really have any motivational consequences. And then that's fine if that's what you're into, but then why am I watching a 2.5 hour movie of this? You know what I mean? Like, there's no point, right? It just gets redundant. It's like porn, you know what I'm saying? Like, right, at the end of the day, like, if you're not telling a story, what's the point? Like, I'll just get to the point. Like, I'll watch the part that I want to watch, but I'm not gonna sit through 2.5 hours of, cinematic masturbation. Like, come on, man. I thought that the dialogue was forced. Like I said, it's sort of these forced platitudes they put in there. We all regret things, and blah blah. But it's so vague. It's like, the daughter, and I'm gonna throw a spoiler in there. The daughter has powers and all this kind of shit, and she rebels. We don't know why. She rebels because she's a young teen, I guess. But we don't really know who she is as an individual because it doesn't matter. It's not about her. And it's not about specific actions that she does. It's symbolic, I guess, or it's just there. You know what I'm saying? It's just there for you to watch kooky shit. And again, there's an audience for that. Some people like that. It's a niche audience. I'm not in that audience. I'm not into kooky shit, personally. You see me, I'm more of a serious dude. And if I do watch something that's funny, I want it to be really funny. I don't need it to be like kooky. Kooky to me is like sub-funny. It's like low effort funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have a sense of humor. People know that I laugh. You see me, right? I love Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, all that stuff. Don't Be Menace in South Central. I like funny shit. I like really funny shit, not like ha ha ha, goofy shit. That's different. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I guess I would say that I I kind of knew that this movie was going to be like this, but I still watched it anyways because it was Tuesdays cheap, whatever. Um, Obviously, I'm a big Michelle Yeoh fan. I love Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, so that's why I went to watch this. And I think it's really fascinating. I remember seeing a comment with a friend of mine online how they were saying that we're in the age of there's no movie stars and movie stars don't have no weight no more and all that stuff. I disagree. I don't think anybody would see this movie as niche as it is if Michelle Yeoh wasn't in it. The whole point of this movie is that they're trying to sell it to you as this intellectual Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right? Which it's not. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is way smarter than this movie, but and just way better all around, like way better. But the point is that without a star, okay, if Jamie Lee Curtis, Michelle Yeoh are not in this movie, you're not even gonna watch this movie. So that's why I think it's interesting. Again, we talk all this shit about, oh, we don't need stars no more. But the reality is that people love stars. The same people that say, oh, they're not into the trappings of Hollywood. I used to see this all the time in my film school back in New York. Oh, I'm not into that Hollywood shit, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you're into that Hollywood shit. You wish Will Smith would be in your movie or whatever, because at the end of the day, you're just another formulaic stand, just like the people that like Transformers and stuff. You're no different. You just have a film education and you can sort of feel a little, puff your chest out a little bit. But at the end of the day, your taste is just as mediocre as the next person. So who cares? You know what I mean? I'm going to end this and say, look, listen, not my cup of tea at all. If you like more existential type of movies, I remember seeing I Heart Huckabees in theater and I thought that was horrible. This is kind of in that vein. It's like art house existential type of thing to me. Not my cup of tea at all. And I don't think that this is a movie that's going to get remembered on any level. I think it's cool for now. It's the hot new movie. Again, it's art house. And the internet allows, art house creators to, especially if they got the backing of an A24, to really put their stuff out there. But this ain't some shit that people are really going to check for. It's a niche film, man. It's a corny film, all things considered. It was mad corny to me, but I'm not of that demographic. People who are in that demographic loved it. It is what it is. At least, the 30 or so people that were in the theater with me. So I think I'm going to end it there, man. Horrible movie. I thought this was, of the three films the three bad films I've seen, I would say semi-recently, Matrix Resurrection, Sonic 2, and this movie, I would say this is the worst movie of the bunch, for sure. It's, again, like I said, it's funny that, oh, Spider-Man was horrible. I saw that Spider-Man, the latest one, that was trash. This is worse than the Spider-Man movie, I would say. I think this is the worst of the bunch. Yeah, the Spider-Man and everything everywhere all at once are kind of in the same. They're the same movie. It's just, goofy jokes. Nothing really matters. There's no sense of danger. Just, it's the same shit. It's just one is art housey and the other one is mainstream. That's all it is. It's like I said with Kendrick Lamar, man. Kendrick Lamar and Lil Baby, same shit. You know what I'm saying? Lil Baby just makes formulaic trap for the club. Kendrick Lamar makes formulaic Marvel versions of coffee bean latte deep music. It's fake deep. That whole shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not into that, man. If you're gonna be deep, be deep. Otherwise, just be honest. You know what I mean? Peace, y'all.